Duke doesn't park here, he has to park over there. Because then when the guys come out looking for him at the end of the show, the guys is going to go exactly to where that parking spot is that they got told, where it's only going to be one car, is going to be just one truck. And they pulled up in a truck to do the whole hit anyways. So it just looked like two trucks. It just looked like two random trucks. You really can't, when they ran the footage back, at first they didn't know what was going on, because they were like, what's all these trucks doing? It just looked like trucks. You know, in the South, they be driving a lot of trucks in the South. So like old heads be driving trucks, people who be working be driving trucks and everything like that. So when you see a truck, the first thing in your, like when you see a truck, it's almost a different reaction. You don't expect nobody to jump out a truck and let off. You don't expect anybody to bring a truck into a play that's being ran. Like you would think that they would drive something less like low key, you know, and maybe something that could, like, they wouldn't even know what type of car it was, you know. So, but basically, because Duke had the truck, they knew Duke had a truck. And so they pulled up in their truck. And so as Duke going to his truck, he doesn't notice, hey, this truck coming by. He thinks it's some cowboy. He thinks it's a worker. It could be anybody. He thinks it's just some old plain Jane, like average Joe guy with a truck, right? But then as soon as they start, the tent was all heavy on it. And so he knew, it was like, okay, he can't trust the people in the truck because it's all tinted. He don't know who's behind that window. But then as soon as he sees the brake lights hit, and that they literally boom, stop the truck. Everybody hops out the truck and they put the truck in reverse, like in case if Duke had to send any shots back, that they would put it in reverse and skirt backwards, right? So the whole play was in the parking lot, and Boosie said that he was actually close enough to hear everything that happened. So if he was close enough to hear it, that's basically being there almost. It's like, who's seen it? If Boosie could hear it, then there has to be people who seen it. Because Boosie's not going to stand right next to Duke. But there's probably people in between Duke and Boosie who seen more, but heard the same thing as Boosie, but they might have seen more. They might have had a closer vision, closer look at it. But at the end of the day, though, it's like everybody is thinking that, well, somebody had to know something about this because it happened so strategically planned. Like, how did they know? Okay, if it wasn't planned, then how did the people in the truck know to pull up into that parking area? How did they know to be ready? How did they know to catch Duke walking out that door at the perfect time? Because it's making it seem like it was people already watching Duke inside, and as soon as he walked out that door, that's when they walkie-talkied, radioed to the dudes in the truck to pull up and do the hit. Because you cannot time it any better, where as soon as Duke walks out the door to the garage, the guys are turning the corner in the truck. Somebody had to let them know. There was either on FaceTime with somebody, literally standing behind Duke, like watching him walk out that door, and that's how they knew to turn the corner so quick. Or somebody was on the phone with them and they were telling them what Duke was doing next. Oh, Duke sitting down, Duke watching the show, Duke leaving out the back parking garage door. And then that's when they run up on him. And so that's why I was saying it's a lot of wolves around, a lot of people who's ready to do something. They ready to get any type of dollar, man. And so that's basically what happened, man. The people was watching him, around him. Boosie had to have known about the parking situation, that Duke wasn't going to be able to park next to him. But he didn't want to tell him that beforehand. Because if he would have told Duke it was going to be a problem with the parking situation, Duke would have never went to the show. He wouldn't have went to the show. He would have went somewhere else. And knowing that it's already too much of a risk, knowing he's going to bring $1 million out. So basically the play was ran, guys. The play was ran. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Make sure you comment down below. Hit that notification bell. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Lil Boosie security discussed the Duke093 whole concert fight story. Was Boosie standing right next to Duke, when this whole thing happened, or was he further away by his car watching it and hearing what happened? If you want to figure out, make sure you subscribe to the channel, watch this whole entire video, hit that notification bell, and make sure you give it a like and comment. Let's get right into it. So the details of the whole parking garage just came out, and this is exactly, how Boosie was describing it. So there's an exit door that's leading from the dressing room. That's where Duke was. And there's a door just a little bit away from that that's coming from the backstage. That's where Boosie was, because Boosie was leaving the stage, backstage, and Duke was leaving the dressing room where all the, people went. And so basically, Boosie was parked to the right and Duke was parked to the left. So when they both went and walked out that door, Boosie went to the right with his people and Duke went to the left with his two duffel bags, with his two Louis bags full of jewelry, money, and everything. And really, the only people that knew he had that was Boosie, the fashion designer that picks Boosie's fits, and maybe one other person, the artist in there. And so from that, Duke goes to the left to go to his car. But remember, Duke and Boosie had split up as soon as they arrived to the parking garage's front gate. The security talked to Boosie's driver. They let Boosie and his driver through. But when Duke pulled up to the gate, it seems like they must have had said something to the security guard to where he told Duke that he could not come into that same parking spaces, that he had to go to the one just down the parking garage adjacent to it. Basically is next to it, but it's not in the same, it's not as secure. So wherever they had Duke park, that's where he was singled out. If Duke would have told that security no, and then he just lapped the block and go park on a different part of the stadium, then they wouldn't have been able to get the drop on Duke, because everything was based around if the whole parking situation works out like the way they planned it, then that's when the play can be run, because Duke has to park in a specific parking spot in order for them to know what truck he's in and get him to walk out that door and go left with his bags of everything on him and had no security and no people. So y'all got to understand that if Boosie said that Duke had to follow him, then, he already knew what the parking situation was going to be. And if he didn't know, then that's the cover up. You know what I mean? So you got to understand, Boosie knows the whole parking situation. He knew that Boosie knew he was going to get the best parking spot. Okay. And he already felt as if having Duke park next to him was a risk, because it was so many thirsty, hungry people. It was a lot of wolves around. All the wolves was around. So Boosie was like, you know what? Because he already knows the wolves is about to attack, he's like, this guy can't park next to me, because then it's going to make it seem like they was coming after Boosie, but then they went and got Duke. So that still would come back on Boosie. So that's why Boosie was like, you know what? He can't park next to me, because then it's going to make it seem like they was coming after me and then got after him. So that's when he decided, okay, the decision is going to be where